Well, good morning, everybody. I know we're getting kind of a late start here. The beauty is we have almost a full hour. I did this presentation for our Adjunct Educators Conference, and I only had 30 minutes, and I just had not nearly enough time to cover everything that I wanted to cover. So hopefully we'll have some time to share a few things, but also I know that many of you have found your own little hacks and tips and tricks for working with Canvas, things that other faculty might want to know that you have learned. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for you to share that information as well. I have a link here, and I shared this in the faculty Facebook group this morning. If you're not a member of Facebook, that's fine. It's a little QR code. There's a link there. I created a faculty resource course. It's not really a course, it's just a resource site that really kind of bundles all of those things that I think that you as faculty will find helpful throughout the semester. Things like the academic calendar, the final exam schedule, course copy request forms, the syllabus tool. So a lot of things in there. I've even put a section in there for Canvas tips and tricks. So if you want to check that out, a lot of the things that I'm going to be covering today, I've posted there. There are also some resources for your students that you can share. So check that site out when you have a chance. It's a self-enroll site. So when you self-enroll into it, it will stay on your Canvas dashboard. So you don't have to go hunting across OTC websites to find all of those links that you need all the time. We'll update it every semester to where you don't have to go find them again. So hopefully you'll find that helpful. I've got some hard copy here too. If you don't get that jotted down or you miss a number, easy to do with those long links. So got our little Canvas panda here, kapow. I really what I've done with this training is just some things that I've added some things to this schedule because I think that as I've started to use Canvas, I think what was it, 2016, 2017, as the years have gone on, I've just learned things as I've gone. I know that some of our faculty, Canvas updates all the time, so they're adding new features all the time. I'll go over a few of those today that you may not be aware of that they've added just within the last semester or two. So I'll go ahead and get started. I think the first thing that I wanted to mention is the Canvas notifications, setting up preferences. It's important for your students to be notified, obviously, of things that are happening in Canvas. But you as faculty members, you're teaching maybe multiple courses. You're getting more notifications than you probably want about various things that are happening within your courses. And I wanted to show you how to control that, and also so you can inform your students how they can be informed of things that are happening and not be overwhelmed with emails and maybe mobile notifications. So I always start with and recommend and encourage you to download the Canvas mobile app, teacher app actually, for you as faculty members. It's a good way to keep up with what's going on in your courses. You can control the notifications so you're not being bombarded through the mobile app, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But it's also important to let students know that there is a free Canvas student app. So the Canvas student app, if you go to the Apple or the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, it's red. So the student app is red, the teacher app is yellow. And when you search Canvas in the app stores, you'll see two different apps. Actually, you'll probably see a third one too. There is a parent app that is blue, and that's more for our K-12 folks.
If you already have it on here, it's going to still be just fine.
Yes.
Okay.
You've already downloaded it, great. You will need to, once you download it, connect it to those or OTC account. Once you do that and sign in, it's going to show you all of your courses there. So encourage your students to download it and connect through it. They're on their phone all the time. It's a really good way for them to stay in touch with what's happening in their courses. So notification preferences. This is something that's really overlooked, I think, by probably a lot of our faculty and our students. Notification preferences can be found under the account, under your Canvas account, which is up here in the upper left-hand corner. When you click on account, you'll see the first item here is notifications. And when you click on notifications, it's going to pull up this big intimidating screen with lots of buttons, lots of selections. There are just default preferences already set for you and your students. I would just encourage for you to go through these settings and then for your students to do those. It might be a good first day activity if you have time to do that. So there are a couple of columns here. One is email, one is push notifications. By default, all of the notifications that are coming from Canvas to you and your students will be coming through their OTC email, through their email. So push notifications refers to the mobile app, and I wish they'd name it mobile app instead of push notifications, because if you have installed and if you've downloaded and installed the mobile app, the push notifications column is going to appear. It will not appear until students have connected and you have connected your app to your Canvas. So the push notifications, you can see all of these items are grayed out. Some of these items in the email column are green, and that's because I personally prefer to get notified of anything that's happening in my Canvas courses through email versus the mobile device. So you can have both, you can have notifications set up in both places, but it's important to know that you can control it. You can have it in both places or one or the other, and your students can as well. I should have backed up and said that these preferences that you set here are only for you. They do not control anything for your students. So when they go into this screen, those are going to be notification preferences for them. You cannot control what they receive. That sounds strange, but you cannot control how and when they receive notifications from Canvas. You cannot override their settings, in other words. So just keep that in mind. I know that some faculty prefer not to show this screen because they don't want students to turn certain things off. Things like announcements that you may post and that sort of thing. So just use your own judgment on whether or not you want to do that. But I think it is important for them to know if they're taking multiple classes, they're getting pinged all the time. And at a certain point, it's just noise. They're not going to read anything. And I think that's kind of what our students suffer with email a lot of times. They're just getting bombarded, especially at the beginning of the semester. So I'll just mention too, you'll see these activities down the side here, course activities, discussions. These are all items that you and your students can be notified about. So anytime an assignment is submitted, if you've got that turned on, it's going to notify you. Important ones to keep in mind are announcements. Obviously, you want your students, anytime you post a Canvas announcement, you want them to be notified. And again, by default, students are being notified through their email. The announcement will obviously also appear in Canvas, but if they had this turned on for the mobile device, they would get it through their phone. And again, they can get it in both places, both email and phone if they wish, but they will have to turn this one on. You'll notice here under announcement, I've got several options: notify immediately, daily summary, weekly summary, and notifications off. They can turn it off. So I just caution against them turning things off. Obviously, they need to be notified of things happening with announcements, but you can kind of tailor, or they can tailor how they want to receive those notifications. Maybe they want all of them at the end of the day. That would be daily summary. Weekly summary would be they'd get all of those announcement notifications at the end of the week, obviously. With push notifications, you don't have that. You have basically on or off. So there is a difference between how and when students can get them through the mobile notifications. So I'll pause for a second, and I'm kind of running through this quickly. Any questions about
Is this the
notifications?
same clicking on and off as when you go to grades and all that down the side of your Canvas, where you've got the little eye with the line through it? Is this what?
It's different, but
Okay.
Yeah, basically when you have things off here, you're not going to be notified. Like I don't have anything coming through the mobile device. I still have the Canvas app to where I can see all of my courses. I can still interact through discussions, etc. I'm just not going to receive any kind of pings about things happening through the mobile device. So,
Philip,
yes.
so if a student turns off announcements in one class because he doesn't want the announcements in that class, is he actually turning off announcements in all of his classes?
So that is a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. What we're looking at right now is globally, I'm changing the announcement preference or notification preferences for all of my classes. You can, and students can also change their notification preferences at the course level. So if you go into a course, and I'll just back up and go into back into my sandbox here. You'll notice there's a view course notifications button at the course level. So students may prefer, and you may prefer, to set notification preferences up individually by course. And you can do that. So anything you set up at the course level is going to override those global settings, if that makes sense. So if you change something here, it's going to be specific to this course. If you've set up global notifications for everything else, you'll be notified through the global notification preferences.
But that's what I was asking you about. See, we've got your files, your pages, your rubrics, your.
Right here, yes.
Yeah, I always forget how to open those.
We can definitely get into that and show you that, because that's a common issue as well. I mean, yeah, we'll get into that hopefully if we've got time. But I wanted to point that out. Any other questions about notifications before I move on? Kind of an important thing. It's interesting. I had a student come to call me over the summer, who was taking an online course, and she was doing everything through her phone, through the browser on her phone, instead of, and once she found out about the mobile app, she was just like, this is a lifesaver. I wish I'd known earlier. So it's really important just to know that those tools are out there and they're free. Okay, so I'm going to, let's go back. I'm going to go back to the home page of this course, and many of you are already aware of some of these things, so I apologize if it's kind of repeating what you already know. But in the settings of your course, down here at the bottom, there's a settings button. When you click on that, there's some hidden items, and I don't know why they're not more prominent, but there are some hidden settings that you can turn on that will maybe help your instruction, help students be notified of things in the course. And right now I'm on the course details tab, which is up here. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. Course details tab. You scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see this little hyperlink down here called more options. It's kind of hard to see. In fact, my wife just called me about this. She figured it out on her own, how to turn on announcements in her course today, but or not turn on announcements, but make them visible on the homepage. But if you click on more options, there's some selections down here that you I don't know why. How about now? I didn't think that quickly.
Better, thank you.
Sorry about that. So just to kind of recap, I don't know when we lost audio, but these settings down here, these three, if you go into more options of your courses, they're pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to turn on these other two, but just know under that more options area, there's some options you might want to take a look at. And this is at each course. So you're going to be controlling this for each course. I'm going to update the course details, and I'll show you what that looks like on the home page now that we've got announcements displaying on the home page. This, you can see I've created 3 announcements. The most recent 3 are going to appear here now. Now, again, if students have their notification preferences turned on through mobile, obviously, whenever you post an announcement, students will be notified through email if their notification preference is turned on. By default, it is. For mobile, if they have that turned on, they'll be notified that there is an announcement waiting for them. But another good reminder, visual reminder, is when they get into the course, they'll see the announcements right here front and center. So I think it's a kind of a useful tool, but it does push down other content that you might want them to see on the page. So any other questions about that? Okay. I'm going to move on to a couple of features that are fairly new that you may not be aware of. And I just helped the instructor with this today because she's trying to set up due dates and availabilities for all of her assignments in Canvas. And that feature is under the assignments area. Click on assignments. Under the 3 little, some people call it the hamburger or ellipses, 3 vertical buttons or dots up here in the right-hand corner. Get them under assignments. You can click on that and click on edit assignment dates. Some of you may remember having to go into each assignment individually and adjusting that information. Here, you will get a whole list, a complete list of your assignments, discussions, to where you can just go one by one through each one of those assignments and activities and set due dates and availability dates. And I don't have availability set for these 3 assignments. I do for the last one, but you can see you can go through here quickly and update those. If you need to push a due date, you can do that in batch. So maybe you have 4 assignments due or 2 assignments due on a particular day. You can select those days, and you can go up here to batch edit and then shift the dates by a day or 2 or however many you need to adjust all at once. Probably not too hard to do just manually, but you've got the ability to batch edit due dates.
Can you remove all the days? If you want?
You can, yeah, for
Have
those
it say-
selected.
Okay, you just select them then.
Yep, yeah, just select them and do that. So that's a feature I wanted to show you. It makes kind of quick work of just reviewing, your due dates at the beginning of the semester, make sure everything's set and ready. Another feature that you may not be aware of, and you can access this from a number of different ways. Assignments, pages, maybe you want to move one assignment or a final exam to another course, but you don't want to have to do the whole copy course thing or call our office and have things moved. Canvas has a nice little feature. If you just go to the right of any element that you want to copy over, again, the 3 vertical dots, you can click on that and you'll see an option to copy to. You can copy this assignment to another course. So if I click on that, it's going to let me select another course to copy it to. So you can individually copy assignments, pages, things like that, if you just wanted to do that. There is another option under the 3 dots where you can see there's send to and copy to. Send to is if you want to share your assignment with another faculty member, a colleague that might benefit from the assignment. As long as you've got their course ID, you can share that with them. So kind of handy.
Does that work with course syllabus too?
So the course syllabus is an integrated tool. The concourse syllabus is kind of built in. It has its own copy function, and no, it does not. since it's not a Canvas tool, it's an external tool. You can't just do that, but there is a process for copying over syllabi to other courses through that tool. So if you've not done that before, there are instructions on the web, actually in the faculty resources course, you can get right to it.
I can just email that out too, where you can go through
Mhm.
mine. if you see it.
That's right.
Like,
Right.
I think that was
I-
on here yesterday.
I did that, but what I also did is I exported through Canvas, expecting to export my course, and then get choices of select these things.
Right,
And all of a sudden it said, your course is exported.
yes,
And I thought, where are the questions that are supposed to ask me before they do this? Oh, now you just told me. One is
Yeah.
Concourse and one is Canvas. And no, they're not, they're different export tools.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Live and learn.
The way a lot of our Canvas tools are integrated, it's hard to know what's Canvas and what isn't. That goes for a lot of our publisher tools as well. So if you have any questions about that, though, you can talk to us. I mean, basically the options that you have to be able to choose what you want within Canvas, those are Canvas things and not external tools. So,
I didn't know about that individual from the assignment level sending it. That's helpful.
yeah,
Because I've always done the course copy.
right.
And then I manually select from
What you
there.
want from there,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, this is fairly new. This was probably a semester or two ago that they added that functionality. So it's very nice.
One use I've found for that is you can't, like, you can duplicate assignments in Canvas. Like you can right click and say duplicate,
Right,
but you can't duplicate a quiz.
You
So
can, yeah,
there's a,
yeah, I've done it. Like you can make a copy of it,
don't have
Send
a
it.
quiz here.
send the copy to,
right,
To that
but
course?
I'm saying, so assignments, under the three dots, you can just click duplicate, and then immediately duplicates it. You don't have that option. With the
I have done it.
I-
Yeah, I have done it. I've made copies of quizzes within the course.
I believe you can. I don't have a quiz in here to show. I can create one maybe, but
I feel like right there, you can see.
yeah, you can see the
I
duplicate
didn't see that
function.
option.
I should have pointed that out as well, but if I hit duplicate here, you can see it's going to make an assignment copy. So if you need to repeat kind of the format for assignments, this is really handy just to copy the format and you can edit that next assignment that you've copied.
I've always used the copy to duplicate.
Ah,
quizzes.
okay,
And then just copy it to the same course.
Maybe.
that'll work as well.
Probably what I've done.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what I've
what I was
done.
doing.
Yeah, okay. That. is no
We'll
fun.
check that out here in a second. I thought there was a duplicate for quizzes, but I could be wrong. But yeah, but that's how you could just know those three little dots. Anywhere you see them, check that menu. There's some handy things there. So most of you are aware of the student view tool, but I wanted to point it out. It's up here at the top, usually through the home page. They put it on other pages now as well, but you can click on student view and it's going to put you into the course. It actually enrolls a demo student in your course to where you can view the course as a student would. Now, there are some caveats with this. Right now, the student view tool doesn't work before courses are published. And none of your courses are published or shouldn't be published at this point. They will publish later tonight, and you'll be able to use the student view tool tomorrow, which isn't really helpful in kind of making sure your course is ready. But just know that it's available there if you need to view the course from the student perspective. It doesn't work with a lot of our third-party tools like publisher integrations, but it will let you see Canvas from the student perspective.
Philip, can I ask a question? I
Yes.
see your to-do list.
Yep,
How do you get those to-dos over on that course calendar for the students to view?
right. So the to-do list is really we'll just go into assignment here because that's probably the best way to show that. So any activity, discussion, assignment that you want students to complete, you would go into that activity. We'll go into assignment, hit edit. And whenever you set the due date for the assignment, that is going to put it on their to-do list.
But does it show up on the calendar?
on the calendar.
The little calendar on there,
So the calendar tool, you know, students can check here too. Yes, it will put it on their calendar.
so it automatically. puts it-
Automatically.
Okay.
Anytime you change a due date too, it changes it everywhere in Canvas. So you don't have to worry about going to another place. Have a problem with Blackboard too. You have to change things in multiple locations. So
Can I mention something about the calendar?
yeah,
I told this to somebody and they didn't realize you could do it, but you can also change due dates in the calendar.
yes.
You can drag assignments to different spots.
I hadn't planned on going to the calendar, but that's a good point. So if you go to the calendar, students have the calendar on their dashboard. Let me see. I don't know if I have this particular course. I've got too many courses, obviously. There we go. So these are assignments in the course that I just showed you. You can click into each one of these assignments from the calendar. You can also drag and drop items, which you may not know. And that makes it easy to kind of adjust due dates. Again, once I did that, it changed it everywhere in Canvas where it appeared.
So on the
So
do, it changes.
yeah, that's an easy way to kind of, instead of going into that edit
Yeah.
date tool that I showed you earlier, drag and drop.
So the availability remains the same. In other words, the hours for availability remain the same, but the date will change.
You'll need to change the availability if you've set availability. Yeah. You can see the due date. You can change from here. There's more options. Let's see. Yeah, it takes you right to the assignment where you can change availability from here. So you can do that from the calendar or do it right from the assignment. But just know that it changes it everywhere.
That to-do list, one thing that I've used that for is you can also put that on pages
Yes.
and not just assignments. So if there's like a page that you've created with information that you really want the students to see, you can, there's a checkbox at the page when you're editing it that you can add it to their to-do list.
Let me just show you where that is.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
oh, under online. Yeah.
So as Melissa mentioned, you can see there's a little checkbox down here at the bottom that says add to student to do. So it's just that visual reminder. Students always refer to the to-do list, even for faculty who don't want them to refer to that. But if you click on that, then they'll not miss something. A lot of times our students go directly to assignments without looking at content that precedes that. So if you click that little box, it's going to populate there to where they have to
Yeah,
actually
gives
go
you
there.
the calendar option. If you click on it, you can plug the date. To add it.
Right here.
We have a question via the chat. When setting up a course using modules, is there any way to batch to due dates for a whole module of pages containing course content that students need to access or read by a certain date?
No, not the best way to do that would be through the tool I showed and go under assignments and then just you can edit right there. But I see what you're saying or see what they're asking. So no, unfortunately.
Philip, if you wanted to change an assignment, okay, let's just say I changed the fall 22 assignment. I want to send it to my other section of my class. I don't have to go in there and delete that old assignment. It'll delete it.
It won't override the assignment that you had in there. So you probably want to just, if they're named the same, you probably want to just go ahead and delete the assignment you're wanting to
That's what I
replace
did.
and then copy
Yeah,
into it.
that's what I
Yeah.
did. But I wondered since
No,
these things are big, yeah, but just a key
The
question.
thing with Canvas is it'll keep everything until you delete it. And we've noticed that courses that get copied from semester to semester, if you don't go in there and do some house cleaning every
Right,
once in a
right.
while, it's gonna just balloon into
Yeah.
this unwieldy thing, especially if you have lots of assignments. So it's good to kind of just clean things up. If you need to use things and you're just not using them during the semester, you can just unpublish them and just keep them there. But for things you know you're not going to use again, just go ahead and delete them. That's the best thing.
I have a question on that.
Yep.
Sometimes I will goof up and have like the same assignment twice, and students will do both of them.
Yeah,
There's no way to delete something once a student has done it.
right. That's kind of that's one of the things that unfortunately Canvas is. Once students have submitted, you can't delete it. You just can't get rid of it. It's just there. So another reason to kind of just clean things up as you go. And I know it's hard. I miss it too. And there's times where that happens, but yeah, you just kind of have to roll with it, unfortunately. Speaking of deleting things, one thing that I can't forget to mention is the undelete tool, which many of you are probably aware of too. Let me see if I can just resize this or remove this. The undelete feature is a lot of folks don't know about, but maybe you do. If you go to the home page of your course, any course, and go up here to the URL up at the top, and at the very end of that URL, just put a / and the word undelete. You just type / undelete and hit enter. It'll pull up a list of all of the things that you've deleted in that course. So if you deleted assignments, everything should be there. If you're not finding what you're looking for, give our office a call. We have what's called a beta instance of Canvas, which is basically a duplicate of what students are in daily. The beta instance actually has student enrollments. It's got everything. It only updates every 24 hours. So try to call us as soon as you know it's missing and you can't get it back. But even if we can't find it there, Instructure, our reps at Instructure can get things back for us. I would say probably a good 95% of the time we've been able to get most content, including whole deleted courses, back. So we have a process for recovering deleted courses as well. So if you accidentally hit that reset course and everything's gone, don't panic. We can get things back.
One thing that really saved me a lot was the page history,
Yes.
which is a little different from this, but if you make a mistake and you know, save the page and now it's all messed up,
Right.
you can go to the page history and you can restore it to a previous page,
Right.
and then the version, yeah, and then it's all back. So
I think I went to the wrong place.
I think I figured that out. I had to Google that one.
Yes. I was just gonna actually I missed it again. It's up here at the top. Before you get into edit the page, and the home page is a page. So if I view page history, it will show you the revisions here. And like Melissa talked about, you can go back in time. If there was a time that you liked the old homepage more than you like the homepage now, like if I go back, well, if I picked one of these, that homepage would be totally different because I've changed the homepage since then. So that's kind of a handy trick too. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
So we've covered undelete. Well, we've got some time here. There are probably a few other things that I could point out, but I wanted to kind of allow you guys to share. If we have anybody online too that has any tips that they found particularly helpful, we can go in and show you the course navigation too, and maybe some tips that are one tip that I would recommend, and you probably all already do this, is to try to keep your course menu to a minimum. Remove tools or hide tools that you're not using or that students aren't going to access. And this kind of rolls into your point about the items that you want to hide or make available. So let's just go into that, because a lot of people may not know how to adjust the course menu here on the left side. So let me go into settings. First of all of these little eyeballs with the lines through them, students are not going to be able to see. You can tell that through student view as well, for the student view feature. But if I click into settings and I go to navigation, which is here, these are all the things that students are going to be able to see. These are all the things that students cannot see. So if there's something in this top menu that you don't know what it is, most likely you're not using it. So get rid of it. Outcomes is one. Canvas outcomes is not something that most of our courses are using at this time. So to get rid of it, you can click and drag it to the bottom list. Don't forget to go all the way down here and hit save, or it will not fix. Another thing that we like to point out too, and you'll see that I have files, quizzes, pages, other things hidden. And that's because I'm directing students to the modules to get to those items. I don't want to have pages shown and have every single page in alphabetical order to where they're going to access it out of any kind of sequence that I want them to access that content in. So the modules does that for me. So I recommend hiding this, particularly if you're using modules, to hide pages, files, quizzes, that all of those items down below. And having one kind of central funnel that students go through, I think is really helpful. We had an honor student write a report about some of the challenges that she and her fellow students have faced here at OTC with just the lack of standardization in a lot of our courses. And I know that we all like to have the courses set up the way we like it. But one of the things that she mentioned, she had a really good report and data that was shared to the upper levels of OTC, was that we don't have consistent across a lot of our courses here. Different course designs, a lot of our courses use buttons as opposed to modules, and it makes it really difficult for students to be able to navigate and find what they need. So we're working on that. I know that each department has maybe their own way of doing things, but we're trying to provide more of a standardized navigation experience for students, and I think that's something that over the next few years will be mentioned more and more. Yep.
I always leave the student evaluation on the upper level, but the teacher evaluation and administrative evaluation, can I discard those?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if you can. Maybe somebody else can. Those are tools that are outside of our institutional research actually adds those tools. So I'm not sure if you hide them. I believe that you can hide them, but I need to double check on that, because I think the pop-ups, students are reminded constantly.
There because the student doesn't see it. Because when I
Right,
put them up there,
that is
I put
true.
in student view, they don't see those.
Right,
So
right.
there's no reason to hide it.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
But when I get below that, I'm discarding everything. So a faster way to do it is to hit the three dots
Yeah.
above each other and just keep hitting discard.
Yeah,
And then
disable.
Just or disable,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's a lot faster than dragging it down.
Right.
Each one.
Right.
We have a question from the chat. Becky Jenkins says, we have multiple sections of students in one Canvas site. So we need to be able to assign different due dates to the different groups in an assignment. We'd like to be able to create a group and then use that as our assigned to versus having to type in each person's name. But it's not letting us see the group option without creating it as a group assignment. Do you have any suggestions for that?
I haven't worked too much. Maybe Melissa or somebody else can answer, working with.
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
I do that as well, where I assign exams to different students and the different sections within that same Canvas course. And the only way that I found to do it is to individually type their names, or you can assign it, like if you have multiple sections, like if I have W01 and W02 combined, I do have the option to assign it to one section or the other.
Right.
So if that makes sense, that's different from groups, but you can assign it, if you have multiple sections combined, you can assign it to one section student.
Let me go into assignments. I'll show you one way to do it outside of groups. Groups can kind of get unwieldy and clunky and require a lot of management on your side. But one way you can do assign to individual students that you may not be aware of. If you go into edit assignment or any activity really, down here at the bottom, you can see assign to everyone. It's going to assign it to the whole course or to everybody in the class. If I hit the little add button down here at the bottom, you can assign to individual people. So maybe I want to assign it this and create a different due date and availability for David for this assignment. I can do that. So when I hit save here, you can see that it's going to give David a different due date and availability than it would everyone else. I'm not sure what's showing.
So under the assigned to, are you able to just select a section of a course if they're combined?
Yeah, so when he pulled down on assign to, do you see where it says course section?
right
If you
here
have
at the
multiple
top.
sections like W01, W02, you can select a section and it just, those students will get that assignment. So you can assign it by section.
There is a caveat to combined sections. So many of you are teaching seated. We don't currently combine sections. I should take that back. Some of our sections are combined in advance if they include dual credit students, and so forth. So whenever you get your course, all of those students will essentially be combined into one section. There is a process for online faculty to request that if they're teaching multiple sections of the same course, you can request to have those sections combined into one section for ease of,
Just management.
management. Yeah. You only have to post one announcement. It
Right.
goes to both sections, et cetera. So when you've done that as an online instructor, you'll have the ability to select the section, but most seated, no seated sections you can do that with currently.
So would a potential workaround for Becky and her team be that they copy the assignments, assign due dates with one, or assign one of them to this section and it has this date, and then the copy of that is assigned to this section and has this date?
You really don't have to make a copy of the assignment. If it is the same assignment, you can use the same assignment and just split the class in half with the add to
Just
feature.
add to the admin section.
You have to add those students manually, unfortunately.
That's what she's saying, though, I think, is that
Yeah,
having each student.
Yeah,
individually.
yeah.
Yeah, that's ours is not an official, ours is our lab sections and we see them on different days.
Right.
So it's not an official split of the class, but we wanted to see if we could say like, this is group, 101 who meets on Mondays and this is group 102 who comes in on Wednesdays.
Right.
But I couldn't figure out how to do it without doing a group assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The group or add.
Yeah. And I didn't want to have to remember who was in which section every time to add them. But I mean, that sounds like that's probably what we'll have to do.
That makes sense, unless something could be set up on the front end with colleague to split those sections,
Yeah.
with those students, and that might be a Dr. O'Connor question.
Yeah. We're trying this in a different way. And so we'll keep working on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck. Sorry.
Philip, what is the blue button?
Big Blue Button is a collaboration tool that we don't use. It's kind of the built-in Zoom of Canvas, but
Yes.
yeah, that's one you want to hide that we don't use.
So I do the thing you were just talking about where you have people navigate through modules and then I make it where they can't see all the individual pages, assignments, whatever. And I found that my students who use the mobile app, they can still see everything I've made them not able to see on Canvas on the desktop. And I don't use the mobile app, so maybe I need to download the mobile app and change it.
So they can see pages and
They can, because I particularly, I disable assignments because I want them to get all the other pages and information
Right.
in the module before they do the assignment. And I had a couple of students last spring that kept doing the assignments when they weren't supposed to and without the information. And I was like, how are you even seeing?
They can do it on to-do list.
they can get to it from the to-do list, and that's probably how they're accessing it. That's one of the real challenges I think that we've had is that if you've got things on the to-do list, and like Melissa, to her point earlier, if you don't have those pages in advance of the assignment marked as to-dos, they'll just jump right to the assignment.
But they
Okay.
just seem to be skipping into the.
They may have
assignments
figured it
without-
out.
Oh,
Just no.
no.
Have you set up requirements in your module? Because that's how you can.
Oh, I
So you have to go to the
yeah.
module level and add requirements, and you can force progression. Or you can just say they have to complete all of them in any order, but that's what I've done where I force the progression, where they see my notes and then you find everything. And the to-do list, when they click on it, it'll say, you have to complete this first, and it'll show them what they gotta do.
To clarify, if something is marked as on their to-do list, are they then not able to jump to the assignment?
No, I think that's one of the problems that, I mean, they can still jump and pick and choose whatever they want to do. So they may be just seeing those pages. If it's not marked as an assignment or a quiz, they just be skipping it and going right to the quiz or the assignment.
So this is the question. I mean, how can are we gonna force them to read the pages or, no, because it's Spanish.
But I don't think that's modules. Yeah.
How can you do it? You do it because you know Spanish. Aaron, remember me?
Yeah.
But you know it.
I dropped.
You can. Skip. I mean, so I was gonna ask, what is the common policy? I mean, or the way you are assigned, because you have week 1, right?
Right.
So everything starts this day and everything is due this day. How do
Right.
you do it? Because I would like to know.
Well, like Melissa said, I mean, the only way to really, I mean, a lot of this obviously is on the student, but there are ways that we can kind of minimize them just kind of skipping right to the end. And one of those ways is to set up prerequisites or requirements on the modules. We can show you how to do that. I'm not going to have time to go into the details of that, but if you want to come in, we can set that up. There is some management to that, and you have to remember, you know, if you delete an assignment or add an assignment, to go back and adjust those prerequisites or those requirements. So there is some management of it that unless you're kind of really dialed into that.
But this is something that is happening. You took my Spanish class and you knew material.
Yeah, but
I'm not gonna force you to.
And I went to all of your pages.
I know, and you did it the day and all that, you know, the sequence and everything ahead of everybody. You were the first then, and she dropped, I didn't know, anyway, so, but the thing is that we are getting students who know Spanish already because they spent 3 years in high school.
Right.
So, I mean, of course, if he knows, you know, the basics, he
Yeah.
can go and do it, and they are perfect, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real challenge.
Am I gonna be assigning each reading assign a grade? That's crazy. I mean, if you read this, you're gonna get this.
Right.
No, I mean,
It-
what I'm trying to
You can
do is.
lock, you can lock the assignment so that they can't even access it until they do the page before it with your lesson. And Philip said he can help you with that.
Yeah, we
This,
could,
this is what will stop you from doing the assignment.
Yes, that'll
Yeah.
stop them from
Aaron,
doing
I'm
that.
asking you because.
they actually have to go into those pages and review it. Now, they may still not read it, but they have to at least, it has to be put in front of them to where they see it. And they mark off that I have,
Because
you can do that.
I mean, besides this, that we
Right.
I have one specific thing. This is what you need to do,
Right.
and the end is quiz. I mean, and that works, right? You tell them do this, do that, and I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure that
but-
people
We-
do.
But they're not like forced to do it,
Uh-huh.
right? Like you give that to them as an option to help them progress, like here's instructions.
Yeah, watch my PowerPoint, watch my PowerPoint,
Right,
watch my PowerPoint,
Right.
I probably use this.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it's like, they don't
Have to.
have to follow your instructions.
So that's happening.
So quickly, what would you suggest we put below the line? For instance, files go below on the bottom on these, you know, under settings, under notifications. You know, which ones do we take that are automatically in a new course listed above? We should drop below, I think files. was
I
one.
kind of mentioned some of them, you know, if you are using modules, I think it's a really good practice to hide all of those other things, so students aren't confused on where to go. Files, if you have them in your modules, hide files, hide quizzes, anything that you have in the modules, you don't need to duplicate that in the side menu. So remove anything just so you don't have that redundancy. And, you know, if files, for example, are on the side menu, students are going to see everything out of sequence. It's not going to make sense to them.
Okay.
So
And how about pages?
I hide pages too. I mean, you don't really want students to access all the pages, of course. Yeah, yeah. You know,
I just had a quick tip that might be relevant, like this Canvas is about to open tonight. If you go to the settings page, I shared this with a couple people that didn't know it was there, but over in the menu on the right, very bottom, is validate links and content.
Good point. Yeah, I
So-
should have mentioned this.
If you- Yeah, so if you click it, it will check all of your links in the course and let you know if any of them are broken.
Oh, wow.
Good point. I usually mention that one, but I knew I was missing something. So yeah, this takes a little bit to run, but it's going to scan every link in your course and it'll show you. Sometimes it gives a false positive, you know, just depending on what kind of content. But just once you have those links, they're hyperlinks, so you can just click on them, go review the page like here. You can see all of this content here. It's flagging those as maybe things that you need to check out, verify that links are working. YouTube in particular, sometimes they go unavailable. So you just want to make sure you're checking your links at the beginning of the semester, make sure
You can
those,
see at the top, you can have it show.
Oh, yeah,
Published content, or turn that off, so you know. when
right.
Show those is broken.
Yep, good point there. I think all of my stuff's published. Really good tip.
Good, thank you. That's-
Mhm.
I didn't know that was there. That's cool.
So if something's unpublished, is it gonna show up as a broken link?
Well, it'll mention that it's unpublished, so if you just want to filter it for all published items, you can use that checkbox like Dean mentioned. So, really handy feature.
On the grades, so one helpful tip is that you can use the total column, which always is at the end. And the three dots, and you can move it to the front. You don't have to scroll to the end.
You can also drag and drop these
Drag and drop
columns.
the sign.
So you may not know that you can just kind of reorganize your. Most of the time, if it's organizing chronologically by due date, it's going to put it in the order you want. But if you ever need to move things around, you can just drag and drop.
And I had a question about, can you fill, I don't think you can, so I ask you, is there an option to fill and make like an excuse for everybody or something like that? Because right now I have to individually click to excuse or.
Right.
Just put 0 in there, points.
I thought there was a.
That has
way to
some
do
signs that
that.
are optional, so I give them points if they do it, I excuse it if they don't.
Is that your set?
I didn't even know that was possible.
Right, so if you have an
Yes.
assignment that you want to be optional, you grade it for the student and then,
Can you type EX there for excuse or not? I never tried, I'm not set default grade.
I don't know if you
Like if
could.
it's extra credit or something, you can just default grade for everybody,
Yeah.
and then you add more if they.
but I want to be able to like
No.
excuse it, so it's not even counted in their point.
Right.
And I don't want extra credit.
Right.
But if,
Right.
but if,
There's-
so I have to like go each student
And just, yeah,
and click on their score, and then on the right, it'll then expand. So like if you go and just click on like Phillips.
Each grade.
And that arrow,
That I,
yeah, right there.
Yeah.
And then from there, I have to click excuse. Or I can do it from the speed grader screen as well.
so you still
But I
have to go
have
for
to
each
go.
one.
Can you just create an assignment and make it 0 points and then put in the points that the people that did it? And doesn't.
That would
That
be an
makes it
extra
extra
credit.
credit.
That's how you create an extra credit assignment.
I think that is the same thing, right? We cannot just go and do all present. I mean, like in the
You-
teacher class.
I believe you can go through the attendance tool. You can mark all present.
Oh.
When you click on that, if it's send message to, is that so like if someone did, if you send it to everyone who didn't do it? Is that how that?
Yeah, that's what grade.
Yeah, yeah.
You can go for it.
Okay, I need to add more of these things to my list for next time. Message students who scored below or above. Have not yet submitted, have not been graded, scored more than, scored less than.
So where did you find that?
So at the top of the grading column, just go message students who for this assignment. And then you can select it for,
great for reminders. If they miss an assignment.
Or
Sometimes we email people.
Yeah, it's both email.
for really praising students who did extraordinarily well, you can send them a quick message. So
And they have updated the views, so like now, if you want to filter that even further, you gotta show all recipients, and you can individually delete them if you don't want a certain student to get it, maybe you're gonna drop them or something. So you can, that from that screen, you can take them off of the email. And so it automatically with the, fill it, the send it, line.
I'm sorry. Does it send it blind, like blind carbon copy? Yeah, by default, it'll send it blind carbon copy, yeah.
Right.
I know that we're at time. Thank you all